Welcome to the Igniting the CEO Within podcast, where we interview successful, high-level professionals to discover lessons they've learned throughout their career that can help ignite that CEO within you. I'm Mark McFatridge, and I'll be your host for the next 15 minutes or so. Our show is sponsored by Quaid, a nationwide community of CEOs and entrepreneurs. Quaid has developed Launchpad, which offers an opportunity for experienced executive coaches and strategic advisors to become licensed circle directors. After completing the Launchpad, you'll lead your own peer advisory circles, helping other CEOs and entrepreneurs excel in their professional and personal lives while providing a community of accountability, challenge, and support. If you'd like to learn more, go to quaidcircle.com. On our show today, we have Jolie Higazi, a communication coach from Cleveland, Ohio. Jolie, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Howdy, Mark. It's a pleasure to be here.
I am pumped. Based on our pre-show conversation, this is going to be a good one. So I'm just going to jump in. Look, you work with all kinds of people. You've seen great leaders. You've seen not so great leaders. If you started to dial it down into one or two things that separates a really, really great leader from somebody who needs some help, what would that be?
I think it really depends how you define good and success to start. But in terms of how I define it, I think great leaders are the ones who can admit that they're not perfect. They can admit that they don't have all the answers. They can admit when they make a mistake. They can ask for help. And they can also take charge. So it's being able to live in that duality of being able to own that people look to me, they respect me, they trust me, I am the go-to person, and somehow being able to hold that contradiction of also admitting, I don't know the answer here. And it's okay that I admit it. It's okay that I make a mistake, that I own up. And actually, by taking ownership, taking personal responsibility, that actually makes you a better leader, in my experience.
Yeah, I think you nailed it on the duality side of things, right? Because those two things can almost seem like they're completely the opposite. And, trying to figure out how to be on, right? And have presence and but then also be able to have that vulnerability to say, man, I don't know everything and I'd love to figure it out, but give me some time. How do you help people balance that? Because it is not, it's not easy.
Yeah, I think Simon Sinek, he talks about this as well, right? That if you look at, and this comes with communication as well, it's really the same. How do you hold this duality of both? And he talks about how, if you want to just find leaders that are very, very powerful, right? You can go to the Army, some drill sergeants, right? Their communication style is going to be very direct, very on point. You're off track, they're going to let you know, right? So they have no problem being direct and challenging. But when you ask everyone, um, how do you feel about that person, right? Do you respect that kind of leader? Do you feel a personal, almost like commitment to that person, that it's like, this is beyond just the job, like I trust you, or to see them as a model, right? It's actually not those very drill sergeant people that are often what people mention, but it's the people who are able to hold that duality of being very direct, but also able to show their humanness. They can show their empathy and their care about you personally. So it's not just a drill sergeant, it's someone who can also hold the empathy and the humanity. And there's a lot of frameworks, right? Brene Brown talks about this with, courage and vulnerability. Kim Scott talks about it with radical candor, right? Where it's like we can be very direct and challenge directly. We can also be the person who cares the most. And if we can do both of those, that's when real magic happens. So I think your question was.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do I help people?
Yeah. So, well, and I think just continuing on that frame of mind, right? Like, I think in radical candor, the contention is that being radically candid is being compassionate, is right. Like you owe it to your teammates to be candid with them. It's not a harmful, hurtful, you suck type thing, right? It's, hey, here's what we need. Here's where you're performing. You're not where it needs to be. For us to be successful as a team, we need to get you there, right? And that's coming out of a place of love and concern and that type of thing.
100%. I give plenty of talks about communication and how to give feedback, how to handle difficult conversations. And I always say clarity is kindness. At the end of the day, that's when we're being kind, is when I'm not making you do extra work to read between the lines of what I said and what I meant and what I didn't
Hmm.
say. I think we've all had some sort of relationship or friendship or boss or somebody like that before. It's exhausting. And at the end of the day, we can say what needs to be said. And by doing that, sometimes people are afraid that they're going to hurt someone's feelings. That's why they're
Right.
afraid of, giving feedback. I want to protect their feelings. I don't want to hurt their feelings. And one of the things I love to do is to actually deconstruct that moment and see how actually, if we were that person doing something that wasn't exactly on point, we would want to know. We want someone to tell us. But somehow when it's reversed, we think we're protecting them. So the really important insight here is that we're not protecting their feelings by withholding the truth. We're protecting our
Hmm.
own. We're protecting our own and avoiding dealing with the uncomfortability that we don't want to deal with. So I really try to help people understand that shift, that you're actually being selfish by trying to dance around a hard conversation.
How do you that's I love that. That's really good. How do you so there's a fine line, right? Like so I'll give an example. For years, if you know the disc, and I'm sure you do. So I a high C, pretty low I communicator is how I roll. And so for me, that meant I love bullet points, right? Bam, bam, bam. Here are the facts. Here we go. Here, black and white type stuff. Not everybody loves that. I've learned that. So over time in my career, I learned that I needed to write every email twice. I would write it the way I communicate, and then I would go back and look at it and put it into the framework that I believe to whomever I'm writing to needs to review that. That was a huge undertaking for me, right? It was exhausting, still exhausting. I still do it, but it's the right thing to do. How do you coach people to do that, to understand the importance of doing that, and maybe even I'll tie into, we almost said two opposite things again. Of we want to base things in fact, right? If somebody's not carrying the weight, they want to know how they're not carrying the weight. We also have to be very careful that they receive that in the manner in which it's intended. And sometimes that's not just, you're not carrying the weight, bam, bam, bam. There's got to be some other piece around that. Like how do you take that situation and coach into that leadership? Because there's a whole lot of stuff that goes into that.
These are such great points, and I'm glad that you bring these up because these are the exact walls that everyone faces. And you just had a great example of practicing that degree of self-awareness when you mentioned, this is my style, this is how I mean it. But yet there had to be some element of self-awareness to realize, oh, but the reaction I'm getting back on a consistent basis is something that doesn't feel aligned. Like there was some miscommunication. And you must have gotten that, Mark. time and time again enough, or maybe you just got with it really quickly to realize, oh, wait, let me see what I can do here. So
Yeah.
the first step, which you just modeled a great example of, is just self-awareness, right? So there's the saying that, like, if you walk outside, right, and you see someone that's a jerk, they're a jerk. But if you walk outside and everyone you see is a jerk, you might want to take a look in the mirror, right? Maybe you're the jerk. Maybe there's something you're doing. So that
Hmm.
first degree is just that self-awareness of, let's just look at what am I getting back? And that's the first step. Are you happy with what you're getting back? Because that has to be the first step. From there, it's normally people fall into two buckets. It's either they are too direct, and then what they get back is some element of maybe people think they're a jerk. Maybe people respond in a way that feels very like put off. Maybe they get more aggravation coming in or
Hmm.
defensiveness. So that's on one extreme. The other extreme might be that what they're getting back is just feeling like nobody actually like took to heart what they said. Like it's like it wasn't clear, right? So like it's like,
Hmm.
did I say something? I thought I communicated this, but it's like, and that's when you find leaders, managers, whoever, who find like, why am I having the same conversation with this person
Yeah.
over and over again? And we can probably just extrapolate. This is not just CEOs, it's not just businesses, this is any relationship.
Yeah.
How many times do you find people that are having the same arguments in their relationship over and over and over again? And it's because you're not effectively communicating. You think that you're getting your point across, but what is received is different. And then it creates this whole dance and this cycle that if you don't have the proper skills, you just get deeper and deeper entrenched and knotted up in it. So I'll pause there. That's just kind of like the first framework of like, first take a look. What are you getting back? And let's see if we can spot some patterns.
Yeah, I like that. Uh, moving into continued communication challenges these days, and since the pandemic and hybrid work or work from home, a lot of more video, email communication, that type of stuff. What type of challenges are you seeing that continue to arise in the communication aspect amongst people with in this I'm going to call it digital age, whatever this is that we're in. I don't even know, but with Zoom meetings and work from home or hybrid work or that type of stuff, it's a different world than it was before 2020, for example.
Yeah, I think you hinted at it before with your thing about bullet points. Is basically what online primary conversation does is it just exacerbates whatever communication gap we already have. So
Hmm.
if there was a little leak, when we're in person or when we're on a phone call or that sort of thing, we can maybe like get by and it's not a big deal. Or maybe if it was, like we can address it. But
Yeah.
all of a sudden, when we're in a situation where there is primarily asynchronous communication. So whether that's Teams communication or I'm getting a little, whether that's Teams or whether that's Slack or Basecamp notification text, whatever. Yeah, we really have to first set the stage and the frame of what is effective communication. And we have to drop the assumptions that just because I said something means that's what they heard and they can take the action. No, 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 no. Because again, there's going to be a lot of nuance,
Hmm.
right? And when you and I are meeting, even if we're just like on Zoom or FaceTime or even in person, the majority of the communication that's actually going through between you and I is nonverbal. And that means that our subconscious is on high alert and picking up on everything. And when you take out the in-person way of, or the, immediacy, yeah, those little things can get out of whack really quickly. And that's where you find all the stress and all the headache of, I'd say, work today, right? Does
Yeah.
anybody have a really great communication framework that um, is also miserable at work?
Right.
I would think
Right.
not. But most of the people that you
Yeah.
find that are going to be miserable, chances are it's going to be a communication breakdown.
Yeah. I think you're 100% right. I think, it's much easier to be in person when you can read faces, or if you're the presenter, you can read the audience of how something is hitting and so forth, and guide. If everything is through short text or emails or whatever, it's really hard to read the room. And again, it's honestly one of the reasons why I actually like bullet points is like, I'm just dealing with the facts, right? And like,
Yeah,
but even then, if there's something left unsaid, or I use one word that in my mind means something to me, but somebody else hits something differently. Woo! Now it's on, right? So yeah,
that's right.
it's really
That's right.
challenging. So
And there's a way around it, right? So I say all of this to set the stage of the problem. By the way, am I lagging? Am I okay connection
no,
wise?
you're good. You're all
I'm
good.
good. Okay, cool. So that is the problem. But if we're aware of the problem, we can still have amazingly effective communication online and asynchronously. But it's going to require an even higher level of self awareness and some hard or uncomfortable conversations. So, for instance, if I may use your example of, you like bullets, you like the facts, and some people wouldn't respond well to that. Um, that I'm curious, the people who didn't respond well to that, what was their reaction? Were they feeling like you were very cold, or like you were being very like
Yeah, pretty
jerk-ish to
much.
them?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
S-
Yeah,
Yeah. So if I'm aware, if that's me, right, and I know that that's something that is going on, I might have a conversation with people to just basically set the frame of the relationship where it's like, hey, what do we both need to do? And what do we both need to know about each other in order to like set the stage where we can communicate clearly going forward? So, for instance, this is my communication style. I like to be really like, I don't like all the fluff. I just like to be boom, 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 boom. If I feel something or if I'm upset, you're going to hear it. You don't have to read between the lines.
yep,
Somebody else, then you get the opportunity to hear from them where they're like, ooh, but like then I feel like I did something wrong. And when I get like an okay as an email back, I'm assuming there's a tone, right? So like when we can have that conversation, then we can start to make some agreements together, right? Where it's like, hey, this is the way I communicate. This is the way I receive. And you can come up with creative solutions, right? Where maybe you say, hey, for the sake of efficiency, I'm still going to send the bullet points. And if there's ever a time where you're questioning my tone, or if you're ever wondering if you're doing a good job or whatever, please give me a ring, right? Say
yeah,
so, and let's jump on a call, right? Or
yep.
that person might
Love it.
say like, great, bullet points are fine. I just need you to maybe like have some sort of framework or language to let me know, is there something wrong here? Like, are you upset with me? Are you saying this because you don't like my other idea or because I did something wrong? Like, is there, so, like maybe you still keep your bullets and you let them know. Maybe there's a one liner at the end where it's like, keep up the great work. Really excited about what this is going to
Yep,
do. But
yep,
once we can create that connection, then it doesn't matter all the other stuff because we already have a connection that's made and an agreement. And then if something seems to threaten that, where they got a message from you and they feel like it's a tone, then you can revert back to history in that conversation to say, hey, Mark, you remember when we talked and you told me that if something's off, you're going to tell me. That last message you sent, what did you mean by that? And
yeah,
then there's room for clarity. There's room to drop the assumptions, to realize, oh, I was telling myself a story that when you said this, it meant this. And then you can laugh and be like, oh no, I was just like running to a meeting. That's why it was so fast. But
Yeah.
we need to first set the frame of we can trust each other. Here's our styles. Here's what we both need from each other. And then we might have the most direct messages back and forth that someone else would think is total jerkish. But
Yep.
if you and I already have a framework and an agreement, it's okay. So that's
Yeah.
where it is very individual and it requires that self-awareness and ability to have that conversation.
It's so weird it's about talking to each other and establishing where everybody's coming from. What? That is
Yeah,
brilliant.
this is what I find as well is I love talking to people about communication because again, it's that whole contradiction. I love these contradictions that I get to play with. People assume that conversations and good communication is about facts and saying what needs to be said, and that's it. I said this, period. But actually, what we realize is that good communication has just as much to do with emotional intelligence, that I
Mhm.
have to be aware of how I'm feeling and what's really going on that is then making me want to request something and then to be able to understand how somebody else feels because there's enough studies out there. We are not logical beings. We
Yeah.
like to think that we are, and we like to think that when we're in the business world we put our feelings outside and it's business. But you look at any business person, the most successful people, and I'll go back to like who are great leaders. They're the people who don't leave their humanity at the door and pretend
Yeah.
like they can just be a robot. They're the people who embrace their humanity in the work that they do. They can hold this rational, logical, fact based. These are the outcomes we need. Here's what we need. You're not quite uh, following that up to here. What do we need to do to get you on track with the emotional part of like, let me not assume that you're a bad person. Let me not make assumptions about you as a person. Let's just look at the behavior. Let's ask some questions. Let me remind you that I believe in you, that I care about you. I'm here to support you. And how can I help?
I love it. I love it. All right, wrap us up. Tell me what an engagement looks like with you, and then more importantly, how can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, for sure. So, one thing that's important for me is that people get an experience of coaching and working with me before they ever give me a single dollar. And that's because as I'm sure you've seen, Mark, there's lots of coaches out there it's an unregulated industry. Anyone can call themselves a coach. Anyone can sell snake oil and sound really confident. And for me, again, like my values, my integrity, uh, it's really important that people feel grounded and that they they are not pressured into something. Like they should be able to see a tangible result just from our first meeting that they already got something valuable. They don't have to wonder, is this going to be worth it? They already got something super valuable
Mhm.
and they already then have an experience of our communication style. Do we have a good chemistry? Do we have a good dynamic? Do you feel safe with me? Um, that sort of thing. Because sometimes, yeah, it's just not going to be a good match, not going to be a good connection, and that's fine. Also, I think the best leaders can recognize that they're not going to be a good fit for everyone. Instead of
Yeah.
trying to be a good fit for everyone, they can acknowledge, hey, some of these things aren't going to mesh, and that is okay. It's not
Yep.
wrong. It doesn't mean either of us are bad. It's just different styles, different strokes for different folks, and that's cool. So they're honest about that instead of trying to appeal and say that I'm the best person for everyone. No, like I'm not, right? Like maybe you've had someone that had curly hair that just like really triggers you in a certain way and you can't get through it. Or maybe we just don't have a communication agreement of trust that is like it's okay. Right. So I think when you can accept that you're not a good fit for anyone. So anyway, I always meet with someone for a first session, and it's totally free. And we don't talk about coaching. We just say, let's just dive right in. Like, let's pretend we're working
Yeah.
together. What are you dealing with? And let's see what we can discover together. And then we start to unlock, oh, okay, so here's some quick action items for you here, but here would be the bigger roadmap. And if you want to go on that journey, here are some resources. If you want to go on that journey in your own way, cool. And if you could use support to go through that, here's what I would walk you through. So really like an approach of I'm just not into like the nobody needs a coach,
Yeah.
right? So I'm really just not into the pressure of it. It's that if this resonates and if you could use that support, if that time is valuable for you, then let's do it. Let's rock and roll.
Cool. How do people get a hold of you?
So my website, you can just go to coachjolie.com. It's a little easier to spell. So it's just coach, COACH, and then my first name, JOLIE.com. And that'll bring you to my website where I do coaching for individuals. I also do coaching for companies. I do speaking. I've been doing a lot of communication training recently for the public defender and attorney populations, which is really fun because they are
Hmm.
very, they can be very literal, right, with things, and to teach them how to embrace this duality, it's just really fun. So that's really important for me. Is let's have some fun. It's not so serious.
Awesome.
We can get better.
I love it. I love it. Well, fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me. This has been so good. I appreciate you.
Yeah, it's so fun, Mark. Thanks for bringing your own examples to the table. I think that'll also help people really understand how real this is, right? This is just a
Yeah.
human challenge, not a personal one.
That's it. That's it. Awesome. Folks, we
Awesome.
did it again. We found another amazing leader to share insights and tips and tricks and traits and all the good stuff that goes along with this journey of becoming a CEO and your own CEO. As a reminder, Igniting the CEO Within is sponsored by Quaid, a nationwide community of CEOs and entrepreneurs. Quaid has created Launchpad, which provides an opportunity for experienced executive coaches and strategic advisors to become licensed circle directors and significantly impact the lives of CEOs and entrepreneurs. To learn more, visit quaidcircle.com. Until next time, keep igniting that CEO within you. I'm Mark McFatridge. Thanks for listening.